Stephen Hicks from ABC 30 in Fresno. This question's for both coaches, but just from the championship belt to being on Jimmy Kimmel, how would both of you summarize the LA experience?
I think it's been really positive. I always look at bowl games as a reward, for a team that you can go out there and create connections and have fun. And, just to be in SoFi again, we had a coaches social here on Tuesday, but it's not just a stadium, it's an entertainment district, it's an area. And I would probably echo coaches the same way. A lot of our players are from California. A lot of our players are from Southern California. To be able to play, where they just hosted a Super Bowl and are going to, host a national championship here in a couple of weeks, I think it's pretty special for the players. And, that's kind of the way we've approached this week and had a little fun with the preparation and excited for kickoff.
Jake, just how comfortable does it feel like the team has handled kind of the transition without the coordinators during this week of practice?
Well, I think it's always one of those things. It's how you approach it. It's still a player's game. It's still guys going out there and executing in the moment. And, there'll be a couple new guys, calling the plays. But I think, as we've gone throughout practice, it's more about operationally. You want to make sure as coaches, new roles, new assignments, making sure operationally we're clean so we can go out there and put our players in the best position to go out there and make plays. And that's always been the goal. So I think our veteran group, and we have really good leadership, and I think they went out there and just took it to task every day. And, it's good opportunities for coaches too. That's why in the spring game I let all different kinds of coaches call the plays. So they're ready for these moments, and you get a feel for, what's that like as you go through the process.
I know you've talked about it before, but how much fun has it been for you to transition back to defensive coordinator and be calling plays and back in the rooms there?
I probably speak for Coach too. I mean, we love coaching ball. Love being back in the rooms. I got a chance to, go back in the linebacker room, working through some drills, calling the plays. Going back to a lot of film study in that process, and it just brings you back to why you're sitting here. Because you love players, you love the game, you love going out there and competing, and that's what we're going to do on Saturday. So it's been fun, and just excited about what that can mean for our guys and putting them in the best position possible so they can go out and have some success.
Alex Crescenti, KXY TV out of Spokane. For you, Coach Dickert. I know last week, you were sort of reiterating sort of the stress of, everything that's going on between, a lot of guys maybe opting out. You had the coordinators out, and then you got the signing day next week. Now that the game is less than 24 hours away, have you been able to maybe just sort of decompress, maybe relax a little at all?
We're getting there. We once the ball is kicked off, none of that other stuff matters. It's about two great teams, and I echo what Coach said. I mean, they're champions for a reason, and I have so much respect for the Mountain West. I was there for 3 years, and with Coach there, they're tough, hard, physical, and they're going to go out there and be prepared. So it's one of those things you got to go through our process and do those things. But at the end of the day, sometimes these early bowl games create different challenges. But once that ball is kicked off, both teams are in the same situation, and both teams will be ready to play.
Stefan with the Lewiston Tribune. For Coach Dickert, you're going to have a chance for some young guys to step up in the bowl game. I guess how have those guys tackled this week? Some of those younger guys, and who are maybe some of those guys you're expecting to step up to tomorrow?
Well, I think, Kyle Thornton and Ben Wilson, two guys at linebacker that have really waited their turn and have always been in the background, have been excellent special teams players, will now step into, starting linebacker roles and have the utmost confidence in them. I went out there today and I said, mistakes will happen. It's okay. Go out there and play and cut it loose and don't think and make sure you're being the best you that you could possibly be. So we're excited about some of those guys. I think Cam Lampkin has had some of the best practice during this bowl prep, that he has had. So we're excited about him getting in the rotation a little bit more, and Jordan Lee, feeling more comfortable and healthy to go out there and play the role that I think he's always known is in there. He's had a bunch of injury situations with him throughout the season. So excited to see some of those guys and have Armani Marsh back. I think will be really, really important for our defense, our communication, just the confidence of our guys out there.
David Taub with GV Wire in Fresno. And a question for Coach Dickert first. Do you believe that Fresno State should join the Pac-12, given that there are now some vacancies?
Yeah, I really have no opinion on that. I appreciate you asking me, though. That's way over my pay grade. I think there's a bunch of teams out there, and I know our leadership, not just at Washington State University, but our leadership in the Pac-12, I have the utmost confidence in navigating what the future of the Pac-12 looks like. I think there's a bunch of schools, that would fit our profile and what we're looking for, not just on a regional level, but a national level. So I think those questions will be answered here in short term. So hopefully we'll have those answers pretty soon.
McKenna Keel, Pac-12 Network. Jake, question for you. Obviously an exciting week here in LA, but I know the loss of Coach Leach is weighing heavily on the community in Pullman and on this program. I'm curious what your reflections are on his legacy, both at Washington State and on the college football landscape as a whole.
Well, I don't know Coach Leach personally, but I had an opportunity not just from people in Pullman, but people in Coug Nation to all the way to some of our coaches that were personally coached from Coach Leach. Start with this. I think he allowed Coug fans again to be confident that we could win. And he came to Pullman and Washington State, to really not just revive himself, but to revive a program. And, I always talk about impact versus influence, right? Because you're the head coach, you have a lot of influence, but he's impacted many people's lives. And not just Cougs, but there's so many former players to hear his stories and, from, Eric Morris and Clay McGuire and Joe Filani, who were personally coached by him, all the way through our administrative people and just fans in general, they love Coach Leach. And I think he's made a lasting impact, locally in Pullman, but also nationally in college football, and his footprint will be on football for a long time. And, as coaches, you can only dream of having that sort of impact, not just on the game, but on people and players. And, we're excited to honor Coach Saturday. We'll have a helmet sticker for him, and hopefully, everyone will understand there's a gravity to the moment, and we lost a great ambassador for the game.
No shortage of stories that we've all heard over the years of Coach Leach. Is there a story that you've heard stands out?
I can only say those are speculation. I know. I just, the ones that stick out to me are the ones that people don't hear of just a man that was so giving of his time, that would give to the kids and the people in the community. And any coach that came up, he was more than willing to sit with them for hours on end, to teach him the game of football and to give him his time. So I think that says the type of character and the type of man Coach Leach was. Without me personally knowing him, those are the ones that, stick with me the most.
Kenneth Berry, Touchdowns and Tangents Media, Coach Dickert. At Pac-12 Media Day, you talked about how this year's team was going to be different. You would win together. You would just become more united. How do you feel like the team kind of answered the call this season?
Well, I think the biggest thing, it was all about winning and losing as a team. I think there's sometimes a point when I got there in 2020, you look up Washington State in the dictionary, you see just offense, and it was about doing something together. And the new Wazoo and new accountability and new relationships and a new discipline in a program. And I thought our guys did a really great job of getting to this point. Like I said, we're here for a reason. Excited about the growth that we've had and the adversity that we faced and how we came through it on the other side. So we lost to 5 really quality opponents. And in those games, we had opportunities. So, there's things to build on, and there's a lot of positives that come out of year one of trying to establish a program and lay a foundation.
And lastly, for both of you, with the way COVID kind of just gave everybody essentially an extra year of eligibility, and high school kids, JUCO kids kind of have to stay behind, has it been easier to kind of recruit that level in comparison to the portal?
Well, I would say this. COVID has been interesting more for the fact that, like Armani Marsh and our team have got an opportunity to coach him for an extra year. I think there's been a developmental process that, those kids have gone through, but it also has affected, some guys at some lower levels. But at Washington State, will always be a developmental program. We'll always be looking for that high school kid with a chip on his shoulder that doesn't have the stars, that loves football, and what can he be in 3 years? We'll never be a portal destination. That's just not who, we're going to be and how we're going to be constructed. So we know that. We've got a plan for that. But also some people want instant success. So when you put them through, what I call a slow cooker, right? It's just not a microwave and instantly they're great players. It takes some time. And we've had success doing it before, and we got to get back to doing it again.
Coach Dickert, with the kind of the craziness of the last couple weeks and missing a few players, what have you seen from the guys you would designate as leaders in your team, and how have they stepped up in these last couple weeks?
Well, we've talked about it before, but leadership isn't in the easy moments. It's through adversity. It's through change. It's through a whole bunch of different things. So I think our leaders have risen to the occasion and put a stake in the ground and know where we want to go and what we want to do. And it isn't just about this one game. It's how this springboards into next season and how you continue to build a roster and a team and a program. So, been proud of those guys. Lincoln Victor and Brennan Jackson, R.J. Stone, Connor Gomness, just really proud of their leadership and what that means to our program and what it means to me. And we do a lot of culture, a lot of team building, try to create connections that are real. And I think those guys have, that piece of what it is to be a Coug. And I think that means something to everybody.
For Coach Dickert, kind of bouncing off that last question, what is Deon and Bernard Bell, what have they kind of provided this week as player coaches, and just a little bit about what they've meant to the program as well?
I think Deon, that's kind of the unique, situation in college football. Sometimes you get a player for 11 months. And Deon, came to Washington State with a trust of a process that we're going to help him put him through, and he came with one of his coaches. And it was one of those things where, he trusted that we would get him to this point. And he's made more impact on me and our community and our fan base as a person. Everyone sees the player, everyone sees the talent. You get to see the personality, and like Coach alluded to, you guys get to see 12 Saturdays. We get to see the work, the dedication, the film study, the fun. Anyone that knows Deon, he's fun and he loves the game. So the impact he has been tremendous. I told him the other day I'm going to stop short of putting a headset on. That he doesn't need that. He'll be making calls as we going. But Bernard, Bernard, you might see out there a little bit tomorrow. I'm excited about where he's at. I think he's feeling more confident in his process, so he'll be more of a game time decision.
Back of the room, I have a question for each one of you. Andrew Martin, KC24, CBS 47 in Fresno. Coach Dickert, you obviously were at Wyoming for a couple of years when your paths crossed with Coach Tedford in Fresno State. What were your initial impressions of this program before, obviously, game planning for them this week?
Well, I think one time we tried to freeze them out and get a snowstorm to go in Fresno and Cheyenne. You guys got caught, right?
Yeah, we barely made it.
Yes, I think they changed the rule where you had to stay in town from now on down in Laramie. But physical comes to mind. Well coached, discipline, tough teams, offensive ingenuity. So there's been, a bunch of those good battles. I remember that one being a really close game. The next year, Fresno was ultra competitive. We went down there, and I think coach has gotten the better of us these last few matchups. But just have a lot of respect for him, his programs, and just the style and the way they play. And how they're prepared. And it's going to be a battle, and it's going to be a battle for 60 minutes. And their kids are tough, and that's a reflection of the coaching staff and the program and the type of men that they have in their program.
For both coaches, with how great your quarterbacks have been this year, what's the biggest thing that the rest of your offense has kind of learned from them and how to approach the game?
Well, I think when your quarterback's one of your hardest workers, I think there's some real magic to that, because, leadership is not just granted at that position. I think it's necessary, So Cam, came to us January last season and really built the trust over time, with the offense. And when guys, saw him come in and want to work and want to be part of something, not a me thing, I think it was empowering for our offense, and things haven't always gone the way we want them to. We've had to kind of slug through some lulls and some highs and some lows and everything in between. So I think Cam has stayed the course, and I think consistency matters. Consistency in approach gains credibility with your team. So Cam has went out there and has made a lot of plays, and a lot of this stuff has been off script, and it hasn't always been perfect, and he always looks in the mirror first. So excited for Cam to go out there once again and compete. He's an ultimate competitor, so he's craving at the moment to get back out on that field and continue to play a 60-minute football game. I think that's what we're looking for tomorrow.